The very latest breaking news coming in from Paris and the terror standoff. Well, clearly it has worsened. This is possibly going to be the final chapter, the end game where it's concerned. Now, the French terror standoff has worsened. The attackers, the two terror suspects, have said that they want to die martyrs. That means that negotiation channels with the attackers, which were open about an hour ago, have completely broken down, where both the terror suspects have said that they want to die as martyrs, which seems now, which will go into a bloody end right now. But what is sad at this juncture is that there are two, one at least, and there are unconfirmed reports that there could be another two people held with them. It is a hostage crisis, so two hostages, so that's the sad part. But what is being looked at right now could end extremely bloody, with both the terror suspects stating that they want to die as martyrs. Just about an hour ago, telephonically, negotiation channels were opened, and both terror suspects have told the police officials, who now have trapped them in a particular residential house in this industrial colony. They've trapped them there. They have no way out, but they do have with them, if not one, then two hostages. At least what we can confirm is that there is one hostage with them. So what is now looking increasingly is going to be a bloody end to this, with the security forces would soon be moving in. The standoff clearly worsening, and in all probability the next hour would be crucial. All right, well, that's the latest breaking news that we're getting in. And to quickly apprise our viewers of the news break number one, that there are at least two hostages involved in this crisis in northeast of Paris, right next to the airport. Number two, what has been confirmed right now, negotiation channels which were opened with the terror suspects about an hour ago have broken down. Both terrorists, suspect terrorists, have stated that they will die as martyrs, which leaves very little option before the security forces. But in this, collateral damage in all possibility will be two hostages right now. We can confirm that there is at least one hostage involved, if not two, in this crisis. I want to cut across to various news agencies who are covering the news. Let's cut across to Al Jazeera, and we'll be back with the very latest. We have Lavina Tandon, my colleague, who's reporting from Ground Zero.
From there, they'll have to get their negotiators in to obviously talk to the attackers. If the attackers want to talk, plan of action has to be agreed at some sort of command and control centre, which also has to be set up. So it's a very, very fast-moving time for the police nationale. I think it's who will be dealing with this. And
Steve,
getting their
well, Steve, I was going to ask you actually about the special police units that are involved. I mean, there are possibly two. One is known as RAID in clumsy English, and the other GIGN, Jin, I think you might say. Now, these are special forces that could be involved in this operation. Do you know anything about those? I suppose the nearest thing that most of us outside of France will be familiar with would be the kind of US SWAT teams.
Yeah, I think what the difference with France is it has a very military link to its police force, whereas in England we would have, a difference. We have the police and the military, and we would have our SAS coming from the military angle. From the French perspective, the equivalent of the SAS is attached to the police force. It gives them ahead of the game slightly, because they're in touch with the local police on the ground right to the top level, if you like, so negating several different agencies being involved, although there will be other agencies involved, no doubt, from the intelligence levels and above. But at least the geography on the ground, they'll understand, they'll know the region they're in. They'll be able to work very, very coherently with the local forces, so the lockdown will have happened very quickly once that has happened. And they need to set these assets up, the assets being the special forces now, and place them in position so that they have got a free run into the building if that's necessary. I mean, we don't want to talk too much about and give too much of the game away, obviously.
No, sorry, and Steve, I don't want to draw you too much into the realms of speculation, but what we understand now, Barnaby, our correspondent on the ground, was telling us of French media reports now suggesting that the negotiators, the negotiating teams, have established a line of contact with the brothers, and also that there is the possibility of one hostage and the other thing to take into consideration, perhaps, is the fact that the brothers are reportedly saying that they are prepared to die. So give us your assessment of that situation and how the negotiating team will be trying to resolve it.
Well, I think right from the get-go, I think that the brothers, the attackers, it's been plain and clear that they're out. Whatever happens here is going to happen if they're prepared to die, if they're not prepared to die. I think the police on the ground would like to be able to end this as a happy negotiation where everybody lives. It will benefit the police because obviously they'll get, evidence, valued evidence from the attackers and where this whole event has originated from, because that's the important thing here as well. But the primary role is to obviously try to release hostages without any further, deaths or injuries, and that's their primary move at the moment. It's obviously very delicate. It's very sensitive. They need to be able to communicate. We've seen it in films. They need to communicate with the attackers in a way that they keep that negotiation line open. But fundamentally, they'll want to know that any hostages that have been taken are safe. Any medical attention that needs to be provided can be provided quickly and effectively. But they'll be under no uncertain terms that, this negotiation is going to end, whether it's an hour, whether it's 3 days down the road. It is going to end, but it depends how it's going to end. And I think the negotiators need to be patient. They will be probably France's best negotiators put on this job, that will have experience, vast experience in psychologically talking to and negotiating with these attackers to find out what it is they actually want. If it is they do want to go out, with a cloud of dust, well, so be it. But that information has got to be passed on to the security services so that they can be ready for any plan of action, because obviously now they've contained them, they have to keep them there contained. They can't afford for them to escape again, and I don't think that's a possibility. I don't think that's in the realms of possibility. There's too many police around now. It just does show you once the French police jumps into action, it is certainly effective, and they'll be thankful that they have fully contained this now.
OK, Steve Park, terrorism and security analyst, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts on the line from London. Well, that's the live picture. You're looking at the live shot of this small town of around 8,000 inhabitants, de Matin en Gouel. It's, as I say, 40 kilometres or so northeast of Greater Paris, the metropolitan area of Paris. And as you can see on this map, there is an industrial zone. An industrial zone in this context is very much a light industry. There will be factories manufacturing very light things. There's no heavy industry in this area. The warehouse in question that we're focusing our attention on is apparently belonging to a printing company. That's where we understand the two brothers, the prime suspects in the Charlie Hebdo shootings, we understand them to be there. We understand them to be with one hostage, and our correspondent Barnaby Phillips has been informing us of local media reports suggesting that now contact has been made with the hostage takers. Barnaby joins us now. He's live, as I say, about 500 metres away from this warehouse, Barnaby. So it's a major operation. We've just been hearing from our security and terrorism analyst that the end is nigh, pretty much. It's just a matter of how it ends, and the brothers have apparently suggested that they're quite prepared to die.
That is according to French media reports, yes, but I'm sure the expert you had on earlier is correct. I mean, the French police are not going to let them get away again. They have them encircled. It has to be a matter of time. How long, we simply don't know. I mean, we would imagine, entering the realm of speculation, that these two guys must be exhausted after the last 48 hours. It must be very, very hard for them to stay alert, to stay concentrating, and so on. The French police will have skilled negotiators. Of course, they vastly outnumber the two suspects. They won't be tired. They have all the right equipment. They will be prepared to play for time, but of course their concern will be the welfare of any civilians caught up in this. And in particular, we seem to have had consistent reports of a hostage. They'll be doing everything they can to keep that person safe if we can get confirmation that there is a hostage.
And Barnaby, give us an idea, if you can, of the kind of geography that we've covered. At the say 24 hours ago, we were concentrating on an area further afield than where you are now. In fact, there was talk of the Belgian border being 2 hours drive away, the area of Picardy. So tell us about the geography that we've covered in terms of the way the forces are tracking down the two main suspects in these killings.
Well, it's all taken place in a region to the northeast of Paris, and the first breakthrough was 24 hours ago, almost exactly this time yesterday morning, when the suspects tried to rob a garage in a place called Villa Cotteret. Now that is about 20 kilometres further out from Paris, from where I am at the moment. The hunch of the French police, and it turned out to be correct, I suppose, was that they would remain in this vicinity, that they hadn't got away further to the northeast. You're right, I think there was probably an unspoken fear that they would make the border and get across to Belgium. Not that things would be easy for them in Belgium, but I think for the French there was a very, very important point that they wanted to arrest the two suspects on their own soil, obviously. The focus of where we were last night, you probably saw our reporting, maybe some viewers did, that was further on. That was about 50 kilometres from here. We were all at a village called Longpont. There was an extensive search of forest there. There was talk that the suspects had abandoned a car there. I was never able to confirm that rumour, but it seems they were around there at some point. Certainly the French thought so.
At that point, did they proceed on foot, Barnaby? There was some suggestion that they were on foot at some point in this pursuit.
Yes, that has been the suggestion, that a car was abandoned and that they went into a forest around Longpont. Eyewitnesses quoted in the French media were saying that last night. And again, there have been suggestions that the suspects robbed a car this morning and that some type of car chase ensued this morning. In other words, that was when they had to break cover, as they had to. And I'll return to this point. You know, if they don't have people supporting them, well, they can't stay hidden in the woods, in the cold and the dark, unable to move without food. They were going to have to carry on moving, and by virtue of carrying on moving, they made themselves visible. Therefore, they made themselves vulnerable. And it would seem, to the relief of the French police, they had not got further away. They had not got over to Belgium, for example.
And remind us then of the latest reports that are being suggested by local media that contact is underway with the negotiating team, that there is one hostage, we believe, and also that the brothers have said that they're prepared to die.
All right, I want to cut across directly at this point of time. My colleague Lavina is on ground zero. She's joining us right now. Lavina, you know, one can't help escape the sirens which are going at the back. What is the latest that's coming in? It does seem that this is pretty much the end chapter.
Yes, this is definitely closing in, but how it does is the matter now to be watched. We do know that there is one woman who's hostage, and possibly this is the woman whose car they hijacked, and she might have been with them all night. So she must be in a state at this point in time. If there are more people inside in the printing company, which apparently prints signs, we do not know at this point in time. But what we do know is that the police have opened negotiations. They have established contact inside, and the people have said, we want to die like martyrs, which which is a point to worry, because these are the people who are not afraid of pulling a trigger, and they're not afraid of losing their life. So we are dealing with something quite dangerous.
So, you know, with what they said, Lavina, picking up from what they said, that they want to die as martyrs. So the negotiation channels, which were opened a short while back, clearly have broken down. Now, what is the standard operating procedure where France is concerned, where hostages are involved? Do they have a hostage policy?
There is a plan, Pont Plank, which has been in operation at this point in time. SWAT team are dealing with them. There are two options. Either they will continue a little bit of negotiation to say what they expect. The question that they have asked is, what do they want from this entire siege? Now, after, if they come up and say this is completely breaking down, then possibly they will close in the entire place. Also, we are seeing already that the police personnel are on the terrace of the houses nearby, and they might break into it and they go in, and that is the next option. Really, there are only two, either negotiation or you just break in. And at this point in time, what is being established also through the negotiation, even though if they fail, is how many people are inside, what is at stake. It needs to be established as well. I have to say that President Hollande has said that this is something that has to be dealt at European level.
Right. All right, you know, Lavina, we'll of course keep coming back to you for the very latest right now. So there are two options in front of France, coming at the back of a chilling statement made by the two terrorists holed up inside, where they said they want to die as martyrs. It does seem negotiations are breaking down, but that channel still being pursued as we speak, because the security authorities want to make sure that the numbers that are involved as hostages there. We'll keep tracking details, but it does look like